And WION has learnt Pakistan's rogue agency, the ISI, is behind attack on NATO forces in Afghanistan. Pakistan's inter-services intelligence has asked Taliban to hire Afghan National Army personnel who are fighting alongside NATO forces. It is credibly learnt the ISI and the Taliban recently held a meeting to plan further attacks. And to give us more details on the story, I'm now joined in by a political editor, Mr. Kartikeya Sharma. Kartikeya, how exactly is Pakistan's ISI orchestrating attacks on NATO forces in Afghanistan? Please elaborate for us.
See, there are a couple of things which are happening right now in the Afghanistan theatre. It's not as if ISI was not involved in the Afghan theatre. What they have done is they have stepped up their activity. And the reason why they have stepped up their activity is they feel that the American influence is waning in many parts of Afghanistan. Now, the war in Afghanistan is roughly more than 16 years old. But then the influence of American forces in Helmand, Nimroz, Kandahar, southern provinces have completely waned away. The poppy cultivation, which is opium, now prevails all over Afghanistan. So, and on top of it, the Afghan government says that there is a difference between Taliban and Al-Qaeda. There is no Al-Qaeda. And there is a good Taliban and a bad Taliban. So what Pakistan is doing is that it's propping up its own people who are part of the Taliban Haqqani network, so that they can be influences, they can create gears within the larger system of government in Afghanistan as a counterpush, because they feel that the Pashtun-dominated Taliban is an answer to the non-Pashtun, which is Hazaras, Tajiks, and other communities from northern part of Afghanistan who are primarily more close to India, as a bulwark. Now, it is because of this these attacks have gone up. It is to say that the Pakistan will have larger say in the Afghanistan politics than India. It's a geostrategic play which is, shaping itself out in Afghanistan. It has always been there. But what's happening in past is, or what has happened in the past is, that the Pakistani government has become more adventurous. It receded from the scene after fall of Taliban regime. But it has again come back. Please understand that the Taliban, when they captured power and when Najibullah was hanged from a tree outside Kabul, first two countries to acknowledge the new Afghanistan government was Pakistan and Beijing, which is China. And they immediately recognized the new government. So it also tells us that under the patronage of China, Pakistan is getting far more assertive in Afghanistan.
Right. Kartikeya, I'm also joined in by Javed Faisal, Deputy Spokesperson and from the Office of Chief Executive Afghanistan. Javed, this is coming at a time when the Pentagon is pressurizing Pakistan to take steps against terrorism in the region. Their continuous covert support to Taliban arrives as very unabashed.
Yes. The new peace offer we are having for the Taliban is coming at a time when we in the U.S., alongside the countries in the world, are trying to pressurize Pakistan to stop supporting terrorism. While we are doing that, we also see a need for peace talks with the Taliban, and that's why we have the new offer for the Taliban to come join the peace talks.
All right. Also, Javed, how would you explain, Pakistan's orchestration in Afghanistan at the moment? Could you give us more details?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, Javed, I'm asking, could you give us details of how Pakistan is exactly orchestrating, these attacks on the NATO forces in Afghanistan? It is clearly a geostrategic move, as my colleague Kartikeya mentioned earlier.
Yes. It has not only been the NATO forces that they are trying to attack. The Taliban that are harbored within Pakistan, the Taliban that are being trained within Quetta and Peshawar in Waziristan, are the ones who are being sent to Afghanistan to attack the international forces in the people of Afghanistan, most importantly our civilians, because civilians have nothing to do with the terrorists or with armed forces, but Taliban, supported by Pakistan, are still coming to attack our civilians.
And clearly, Javed, please go on. Please go ahead.
Yeah. The other main problem is that these forces Pakistan are training are not only operating in Afghanistan or are NATO forces are trying to attack NATO forces. They have been training many other groups to be used in Kashmir, to be used elsewhere in the world, and that's not a problem that is being posed by Pakistan just to Afghanistan today, but to the region and to the world. And this is why we have been asking the world to support our cause for peace and to pressurize Pakistan even more to stop supporting insurgents and terrorism in the region.
Right. Javed, don't you think that this is going to deepen the rift between the US and the Pakistan further?
Of course, it will, and it has already been doing that because Afghanistan and the US and the world did not need a partner that is playing a rebel game. If Pakistan is a partner, then they should not be supporting insurgents. But if they are not, then they should be seen as enemies, not as friends and supporters by the world and by the US. It has already gone worse, and it did not act against insurgents and the terrorists that they are supporting. This gap will be extending even more and more.
All right. Javed, also, do you think that President Donald Trump is going to intervene now, considering US has been taking a keen interest in Afghanistan?
Afghanistan and the US, we are chasing a common goal in this country, which is elimination of terrorism. But this is only possible when Pakistan no longer provides safe haven and training in medical facilities for the Taliban insurgents. I believe the U.S. is involved, but we really hope that there will be more of their involvement coming to this issue, because this target that we have cannot be achieved without more pressure on Pakistan or without forcing Pakistan to act responsibly.
All right. Javed Faisal, spokesperson, DY spokesperson out there joining us live. Thank you so much, Javed, for bringing us your perspective into this story. So clearly over there, what you just saw was